All right. Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? Looks like I'm live. Good to see you, Tim. Yeah, so I'll wait for people to trickle in. I'm basically doing some logo design and all that good stuff. So that's the plan. Yep. So yeah, that's essentially what I'm doing. Yeah, Tim, buddy, you gotta keep it chill, buddy. I hope you are nice and cool, at least as best as you can be. I'm going to be talking about the fundamentals of design as it relates to a logo. So that is the plan. We are live, Lamont. Good to see you, MD Shagith. Not much, just making dreams come true. Doing my best to make dreams come true. Why not? I'm going to be talking about the design principles, fundamentals of design, actually around a logo. So working on a number of things, actually. I can show you kind of what I was working on earlier this week, just to kind of give you an idea of how you'd execute logo design. So, because this is a huge thing, right? So I did this earlier this week, actually, on Facebook. This is a project I was working on with Anna Rising as well. So I want to give her like mad props because we were working on this. So essentially, like, what are the elements of design that go into, or the elements and then the principles of design that go into, creating logos, right? Because I literally was watching a course the other day, and all they were doing is kind of going through and like picking a font. It's like logo design is so much more than just like picking a font. So that's the big thing, right? So that's the idea. You could see it right here, right? And I'm going to talk about the elements of design. I'm going to go through this project, and then we'll work on another one. But you see this one, the different executions of this one. Do you like this for this project? But all you're doing right now is looking at pretty graphics. This means nothing to you. Like, it's like, hey, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to convey? At the end of the day, as I kind of click through these different logos, okay? So that's the big thing. You're not just like making something pretty, you're conveying a message. If it's not conveying the message, it's not needed. And I think design is all about an exercise in restraint. Restraint. Ooh, restraint. That's good. I think I just made up a new term. Restraint. So it's the strength to restrain from using filters and all this fancy stuff. So thank you, Yasir and Alistair and Anna. Happy Friday to you as well. Michael, good to see you. This information is missing. Thank you so much. So I'm excited about this, Jess and everyone. So curious where you guys are from. I'm here in beautiful Colorado, but I'm leaving for Utah. I'm gonna do a Spartan race tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna go to Utah. I leave in a couple hours and do a Spartan race. So it's like 10 miles, 30 obstacles. Which, if you don't see me here on Monday, it went very horribly wrong. So yeah, do you design patterns? Yeah, we could talk about design patterns too. So that's a good thought. So it's like, as you get into branding, what are the touch points the customer has with your brand? Because it's not always the logo, but that tends to be where people start. All right, so let's get this party started, guys. I'm talking about the elements of design, and this is a cheat sheet for you. So that's the idea. Here's this cheat sheet. I will actually drop it in the chat as soon as I get a chance. I'm sorry I don't have it, in the chat right now. Please forgive me, but that's the idea, is like dealing with the fundamentals of design. And the thing is, it goes across, this is cross-cultural, so it works in Brazil, it works in North Wales, Missouri, Mumbai, everywhere, right? So the elements of design, so these are all let me scoot my big head over, but essentially these are all the fundamentals that we need to keep in mind as designers. Like, these are the elements, these are the ingredients for the recipe. So these are the different ingredients. Of course, we have lines that could be straight, horizontal, yada, yada, yada. Start putting it all together. We can make shapes that are organic and also geometric. When you start to add volume to something, you're giving it more of a form, which is popular when it comes to logo design. You know, obviously where you position it, and this space is a shape, by the way. And space is probably your most important element when it comes to design, is using space. Space is a thing. All right, so these are the elements of design. So these are all the ingredients I'm going to use in a logo. North Korea in the house? Sure, why not? Ah, Colombia. Gotta love Colombia too. Texture, okay, so how does something like, what is its perceived feel is the texture. We have values, so it's different shades of a color. Yes, black is a color, right? It's all the colors. And then when we do add color, how does it, how does, you know, what does the color say about the brand and the company? Because color is probably the biggest thing that adds personality to something. But we're not doing it to add personality. We're not gonna, don't ever use color to decorate a page. You're using color with a purpose. So you have to be able to say, hey, why did you use this color? You need to have a response right there, right? So awesome. So yeah, this will work in Kenya. Does it work on the moon? I just see what you did there. It's so clever. Right, so here are elements of design. I'm clicking over principles of design, right? So this is all the stuff, like we have our elements, which is all of our ingredients of design, and now the directions. How do we put this stuff together? And this is where we get into the principle of design. You know, is there harmony with your logo? Does it have balance? And whether it's asymmetrical or symmetrical, this is asymmetrical balance happening right here, okay? Hierarchy is the biggest mistake people make, right? So what does a client ask you to do typically, Michael? Is like, everything's important. So they want everything to yell at you and be number one. And you can't, that's the biggest problem with the design. When you look at it and you're not breaking it down into reads, like primary, secondary, tertiary, then your hierarchy is all off, right? So keep in mind what you look at first, second, and then third, if you're building out a page or a UI element, right? So, yes, Khalid, you're right. Cyan or cayenne, however you want to say it, is an awesome color. I love cyan or cayenne. What do you call it? When I say cayenne, I think of cayenne pepper, so I start to say cyan. Scale proportion, which is large and small. You know, dominance, whether something is dominating based on position or color, and then similarity and contrast. So this is, I'm going to give you guys, this is a cheat sheet. I'm going to give you both of these. You can print these out. These mean nothing to me unless you can see them applied, which is why I'm going to start applying them. Let's apply them to this moon project, for instance, right? I've already kind of started on it. This was the original, by the way. Yes, quality texturing tutorials would be good. So quality texturing, so, you know, Illustrator or Photoshop. Here's the original logo. So much personality, right? Based on, look what's going on with this logo, by the way. So the brand, let me take a step back. Technically this is technically the Moon brand. I was working on a couple different things. But essentially this is the brand. So if you think, okay, silk dresses, that's the product, is silk dresses. So it's fashion. It should be elegant. They move with fluidity and dramatically hugs you at the right places, feels effortless in beautiful, unique printed silks. So these are all the adjectives. So what am I doing? I'm not starting with like fonts. I'm starting with these adjectives that describe the brand. Style, print, soft, luxurious, free, cross-cut, sexy, elegant, fluid, effortless. All those things describe the brand, and that's where everything should come from, is like these adjectives, right? That's what the logo needs to say. That's the message we need to convey, right? So we could start out. So again, with our moon logo, right? Sure, does this say style, sophistication, all that good stuff? To a degree. I'm not crazy about it. Let's go ahead and make our own version, right? Starting out with straight up text, right? So what do you have here? You have some straight up text that I'd probably start with, okay? So, and a lot of times the text looks like this. Watch what happens. Since this is just a line, Let me answer these questions too. This is just a line. So I'm starting with a line. This is an element of design, is just the line. And as I start to increase or decrease the stroke size, it starts to give me a different personality, right? So it's like, if I make it thick, it kind of seems big and clunky and hard and sharp. And I'm like, oh no, there's two. I feel like there should be two eyes right here, like one here and then one here just staring at you. You know, that's what I start to see, that face. So let's just eliminate that. This is cool, but it says moon landing or some video game. So that's why I want to take this down. We should use the golden ratio or no need. Okay, here's my 2 cents on that. The answer is yes. Sure, you should totally use it. I think the whole reason for using the golden ratio is to not have something so centered and so boring. Like if you have something centered in the middle, there's nothing interesting about it. But sometimes you want to create that drama. So if it's a face and I'm looking directly at you, okay, well then that's going to be dramatic in the center. That's going to be very striking. But for the most part, you want things to be off center because it's going to create more interest, and that's what the golden ratio does. Okay, so you still want that balance, but you make it balanced, but don't make it boring. And I think that's, well spoken, quotable. What about the brand tone and voice? I got into that already. You guys get the idea. Yes, looks like the Metallica logo. So let's take this down because it's not. It's supposed to be for a fancy, high-end brand. Let's take this down. This starts to look much more elegant, right? I like this. It's looking kind of sharp, right? These lines, look at this. These pointy parts. What if I smooth that out, right? So I can go over, and I'm in Illustrator. I can go over to the stroke, and I can change the cap to be rounded, okay? So I'm thinking it needs to be smooth, sexy, silk dresses. I don't want these sharp points to get caught on my sexy dresses. Let's round those corners, right? Excuse me, round the caps is what I just did. And then we'll round the corners right beneath that by clicking right there. So we've just smoothed it out in an effort to make this look more elegant is the goal. All right, it's already looking pretty good. It's looking kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie. A couple things we could do, right? So line, I talked about the elements of design being a line. If we take this and say, hey, you know what? Let's do an implied line. So I'm going to move this down, okay? And then I'm just going to, trust me, these are logo explorations. Don't get all bent out of shape that I'm throwing a shape over this because I'll fix it later, right? We're just exploring these ideas. Taking that down, let's go into color, pop, right? So now we have basically like an implied line. And like Khalid mentioned, golden ratio, very balanced. This logo was too balanced with everything just very straightforward. It's too boring. This makes it a little bit more interesting. I could potentially overlay the golden ratio here and it might look a little better. But this already is looking pretty good. Maybe, maybe not. So TH Consulting, and what if you only want to smooth some caps? Then just easily just select some of those lines. So yeah, if you want the sharp M, then just have that one selected and we can go ahead and make that one sharp if we want to. So it works on a per, whatever's selected, basis. Okay. And then let's not forget the align stroke. Okay. So this is actually putting that stroke in the center of the line, but you could do inside and outside. So hopefully this is better. Let's move along. Let's do this. What do you do as a designer? You start manipulating this stuff, moving that up, taking this one, playing with this, right? I'm going to play with size now, right? So I'm playing with size, thinking, okay, well, is this interesting as a designer, right? What's one thing that happened right here as soon as I changed this and I shrunk this down, right? That stroke also shrunk down, right? And we could always change that in preferences. And I feel like I'm constantly changing this right here. Scaling stroke and effects. Ooh, good. Okay, Michael, you're on to a good point. It looks like a moon in the different times at night. Okay, so maybe we do. I love that. I love that concept. Because what if we go back to, and let me just fix this really fast. Otherwise, it's going to be bothersome. 5. if we go back to our objectives, so if we go back to our brief right in here, what's one of these? Fluid. And I think what says fluid and changing and flowy for a dress is like the moon sort of moving across the sky. So if this does have some motion to it, I think that's like a great place to be. So great suggestion. I'm into it. Right, so there's number 2. Let's make this artboard even larger. You know, and now we have these 2 right here. I'm going to start creating a bunch of stacks of these, and you guys have to tell me what you guys like as I get into this. Because I'm thinking there's a couple things we could do here. In fact, I'm going to eliminate this one. And I'm going to do another one, moving this down. Changing this to black, right? So we went from introducing lines to making a shape, right? Which is just a circle, okay? So this is also a contender personally, right? Let's go beyond that, because for this one, let's drag this down. Let's make another one. Maybe this is a moon in different phases, but we also know that the moon is really looking white on the black sky. So let's draw a box around this, and let's deal with a negative shape or negative space. So I'm going to send this to the back. Right, and let's go in here and select these. To white. So now we have our white version. Helen, what's up? How you doing? Hey, Paul, what's up? What's up, everybody? Let's leave that up. Paul's in the house. Good to see you, man. So, okay, good idea. Khalid has a good idea. Like, what if you put the N inside of the second O? Or you have the M and the N inside of the different O's. No, I love Anna's version. This is just like a take on her project. By the way, let's give her a shout out, by the way. Rising. There we go. Anna Rising. So this is Anna Rising. We had her on a live stream last week, and that's where we're working on this project. So I just want to give a shout out to her because she's pretty fantastic and does all sorts of things. Pretty young and really talented. Just to point out one of her projects. She did her own typeface design. Again, kind of recent graduate, semi-recent, but here's just one example of what she does. And I really like this font named after her mom. So very cute. So there's 2. Let me try one other thing. Let me try actually lots of things. I'm going to try so many things. Something like that. I don't know if that's working. What if you go with a rising or a falling logo? Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a rising. Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. You know, let's do that. Let's do exactly what you said. If you're talking about this, to where maybe this whole logo is being cut off at the bottom, is that what you're saying when you say rising? you know, so again, just still trying to keep this elegant, but having that rise accordingly. Okay, cool. TH Consulting. TH, look at me. I'm just going to like, hey, whatever you guys say, I'm just doing. So you guys are like the art director at this point. But yeah, I'll try it. I think that will spur other ideas. Round a rectangle, click. Oh, did I just select rounded a rectangle? Doesn't matter, really. See, but what does this say about fashion? Okay, so there we go. So here's obviously this looks like something that's been done before, by the way. So that's a good point. We've all been working like pretty you know, without any outside intervention, and we can always like kind of Google, because I feel like this is like, these are easy ones. Like I'm surprised this is probably out there somewhere. But what else did someone say? Put a half moon inside the O. You got it, my friend. Again, just kind of stick to the fundamentals of design, which I should have right over here. So here's the elements of design and the principles of design, right? So that's kind of what I'm sticking to. I have not added any texture, value, or color to this, but I'm playing with all these different line shapes and forms. I'm going to get into form in a second, because as we start to build volume to some of this stuff, you'll kind of see that happen. So let's just do this. Boom. Fill it. Pop. Hold on. Oh, I have a great idea. Let me show you this, guys. Let me show you this real fast. Okay, so typically this is what you do. You're like, okay, I will open up Pathfinder, and I will use Pathfinder to subtract the front from the back. As soon as I do that, I can no longer change that. I mean, I can't really change that shape. I can't just like move over that circle all magically, right? I can't do that. But what I can do is I can make right over here, I can use the shaper tool. So I'm going to use the shaper tool for this because it's going to give me more flexibility. Okay, shaper tool will allow me to just kind of draw a circle. Okay. Then what I can do is I can draw another circle on the inside like that. And now what I could do is I could scribble out this part. Now I have this moon. But unlike this one down here, I can actually click on this one or click on this other line right here and start to adjust it. See how I can kind of modify this moon to get something that I like. So I might go with something like, you know, again, like that. But I have this control because I'm actually not deleting that data. I can just change it that way and I'm good to go, right? So let's change the size of this. 2.7. Right? This one no longer need. This one gives me more flexibility as I bring it down and make sure it's nice and white. Something like that, right? And I could use it just like anything else. Whether this works or not, it looks like MC On. Is he a new rapper? MC On? Do you guys know MC On? This isn't working. So reflect of a moon at the wave, you get space. I'm not sure what you mean, but I love the idea of a reflection. I love the idea of having this moon being reflected in water. So, but again, with this set, by the way, I can always jump in and change this circle to the other side. That's what I'm thinking some of you might be saying. It's like, hey, what if you put it, on the other side? Does it look like less like MC On, the rapper? You know MC On. Everybody knows MC On. I just made him up. All right, maybe it's working, maybe it isn't. All right, so let's move on. I want to do something else because that does give me a good idea because you mentioned reflection, and I think that's a fantastic idea. Let's take these, copy, paste this one. Let's try this. Let's throw a radial. Let's throw a little gradient in there. What I should really do is put a little ripple in here. But yeah. Mahjong. And Mahjong probably could mean something in some other language. This needs a ripple effect, too, by the way. This might be a little harder than anticipated. Yeah, I'll show you the other one that's created. I just did a little ripple there. Oh, yeah. Exactly. So, Michael, you're the man, buddy. You're exactly right. So, like, at what point do you add so much detail? There's two things to that. Detail will get lost, as you well know. But also, how do these all look next to other brands? Like, even as I look at these here, when you scale them down, which ones stand out the most? It's the ones with black, probably. It's going to be these ones, right? It's going to be this one, right? It's really going to be this one stands out the most to me when you scale it down. So you're right. This one doesn't have that sort of detail, and I like that. So this might be sort of the direction we start going, right? What I did want to do is I wanted to kind of start adding value. Let me actually grab an element. This. Oops. So here's potentially something better to use for the reflection than what I had before. Because I like the shape. Maybe, maybe not. Anyways, you get the idea. Cool. Oh, you do not agree with putting gradients on a logo. Well, guess what, Josello? It's my project. Just messing with you, man. But you're exactly right, because I've seen this done. First of all, here's a way to go about it. Like, basically what it means is coming up with two like different logos. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Guess what? How are people going to interact with this? Is issue number one. Like, how are they going to interact? Like, where is this going to be seen? Right? So that's what you need to think about. If I'm making a music app, I can add some gradients to logos. 90% of the time, 99% of the time, they're going to see that logo in the app digitally with as many colors as I want and all that good stuff. but you do need to make sure it holds up well in black and white. So typically what you do is you always make a black and white version, but it's okay to have a gradient version to take advantage, like depending on the scenario. So I think we're all on the same page, yeah? Let's do spaceship landing. So anyways, because like, let's take a look at some of these others just real fast, by the way. Gosh, I hope not to offend you. I hope I don't want to offend anyone, but let's go back. So let me show you some of these others since we're talking about it, by the way. I'll turn off all these explorations that we've been doing. We'll click through some of these, right? So we have this one. Let me show you some that have a gradient value and tell me if you're interested in it. There's this one that has lines, which is cool. And then there's this one where we start to introduce values. So yes, there are gradients here. Like, is this okay or is this not okay? You know? And I am an illustrator, by the way. So there's this one. So do you guys like this one? Because like or Anna, I don't remember. She might have made this one. I think she did. I apologize. But we were working on this stuff together and I don't remember. Anyway, but here's, adding these values. Is this, when you stumble upon this, you're like, hey, this is kind of cool. It still reads moon, but it has the gradients, Yeah. Yeah, buddy. So you guys like this one? I'm just waiting for somebody to say yes so I feel better about myself or something. Oh, man. What's that music app, by the way? Sonos. Let's take a look at this. Are you guys aware of the Sonos logo, for instance? So since we're talking about, we can even talk about texture, a line and texture. Totally depends on the situation. You got it, Design Jay. Check this out, buddy. We talked about this last week. So this is the Sonos logo, and this is kind of what I think about when you're making a logo for. You always have to be aware of where it's going to be. So this in print on a black and white newspaper would not come out too well. It's not that great. But this one, like when you scroll it, it looks like those lines are moving as if it's radiating, audio or radiating sound. So this is the Sonos logo because they're like, hey, you know what? They're going to interact with this digitally. They might be scrolling, and when they scroll, they're going to get a nice little surprise as those. Did you guys see those? That optical illusion of the lines pumping? Pretty awesome. What about now? That's an optical illusion that's happening. Just kidding. It's a GIF. So that's all I think of, and I thought that was pretty cool. We can introduce color. Boom. Here's a color one. Yeah, Jario, if I'm saying your name right. It's pretty cool, huh? Sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, Luis. Stop doing that. Sorry, guys. I've stopped. I'm sorry. The chat takes, is like 30 seconds behind, so you probably have 30 seconds of that, and I apologize. Cool. So now you guys have it. I'm kind of moving on to color a little bit. The only reason I do this is like this obviously feels like it could be a movie poster and it doesn't say feminine silk dresses. It starts to say soft with the different gradients, but the black, it just seems super masculine. So that's when it's like, as soon as you introduce color, look at how much more feminine it becomes, right? It's just a soft, it's like a dust pink or dusk pink or millennial pink, whatever you want to call it. 26-second delay. Thank you, Tim. But here's just a color exploration. As you can see. And from here, I can even decide on other colors as well. But I just want to make sure I stay sort of within that feminine, like, color palette. And something warm, because this, it's actually a brand in India. So that's another thing I have to think about is, like, how is pink perceived in India, you know? All that good stuff. But again, I'm just playing with color right now. Kind of decided on this, like, pinkish color. The resource of the degraded, break it down for me, buddy. What importance does it have for you in the logo? So yeah. Yeah, thank you. So that's the idea, guys. And I'm not even saying this is perfect, because this is like, we're still in the exploration phase. I'm not sure what you mean, this serigraphy of a pencil, for example. Yeah. You know, honestly, this logo, let me switch to some of these elements, by the way. Somebody mentioned this earlier. Somebody mentioned patterns. But when it comes to like a brand is more than just the logo. But like, what other elements can we create around the brand that we can implement? And this is what Anna came up with, which I thought this stuff was really cool. All based on these different, you know, different adjectives and you know, the different words that basically compile the brand. She started depicting them. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'll leave this up. Cool. I'll give you guys a second to digest that. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'm trying to slow down. That works for you. And I've been going for about 38 minutes, so I got to kind of wrap this up. I can cut to the final ones. So here's like the top 6 roughly. It's kind of where we ended up last week. Maybe the M's should be thicker. That's a good call. So yeah. Cool. So here's again just some of the kind of where we're at with this now. All right. I'm glad you guys are asking these good questions, like how is this going to appear in screen printing, for instance. So as we look at all of these, which ones would hold up well? You're right. This number 6 isn't going to hold up well when it comes to screen printing. You know, if we could just print in either black or, you know, basically black on a color, this one's not going to hold up too well. This one might hold up the most, you know. I personally like this one. I think it's so simple, and I think it works. Yeah. Oh, it's similar to Meow. Hey. Yeah, 4 was just done by cutting out. So this is what I do to 4 because we didn't quite finish this one. Taking this line, for instance, like all these lines, let's just ungroup them. But they also need to be cut. So I can come in here with the scissors, and I can cut this line right here and then right here. And that's what happened is you cut parts of the line and then just, you know, say, for instance, take this one and remove it. Okay, so something like this is nice because it goes back to what somebody said about like the phases of the moon. And I think that's what's happening here, is depicting the different phases of the moon, right? So this second one can be even like rotate. Oop, I think I just moved something. Could be even rotated a little bit. You know, is it like that so it looks like it's rotating? Maybe that's not working. But that's all that happened. Cool. All right. Number 4, I actually animated, if you guys care to see that. Since we're talking about once you have a logo created, you want to see it in different forms. I can Try open that up. Oh, yeah, Tim. So you said the fifth one won in the poll. Let me go back to that. Oh, interesting. Thanks. That's good to hear. So it looks like 4 and 5 is getting the most comments. Oh, good. Josello? You guys like 4? Oh, good. Oh, this is so good to hear. Oh, I'll have to tell Anna. Thanks, guys, because that's the one we were working with. This is it here too, as you can kind of see. You know, we said, hey, what if we animated this and just kind of made the lines kind of grow in, zoop, like that. And let's take a look at these right here. This. Let me actually change this to graphic. There we go. Hold on one second, guys. Changing this to a graphic. Okay, cool. So we can see it as I scrub through. I thought it'd be kind of cool to show like how this would potentially look animated. So this is kind of fun. That's all. That's all I got for you. Sweet. Thanks, Tim. So the fourth one was the winner. Khalid, what's better to animate? Depends on your purposes. Adobe Animate CC or After Effects. I honestly think potentially in this case, After Effects might be better because it depends on your uses. Chances are you're going to be making a video. Use After Effects, right? What I like about Animate is that I actually have these, I can do these shape tweens, and that's what this is down here. So I can have the shape as something right here, just selecting this line, right? So this is the starting point, and then I can have it morph into that final shape. So that's why I kind of was thinking Animate would be interesting to use for it. That's why I decided on it. But so since I've moved it down there, so 0.1, 0.2, it's fully extended, and it does all the in-between, phases, and we can see it grow. But typically After Effects is awesome. So that's what I'd go with. Any quick tips on adding textures? I don't know. What type of textures do you want to add? I think when you start adding textures, it's going to mean either importing an image or some sort of shape and then adding a clipping mask to it, or clipping path is what I would do, or something like that. So I think a good case for adding some sort of texture would be right in there. So I'd actually find a texture. Of course we have patterns and stuff in here, but I'd find a texture and I'd put that inside by turning it into a clipping path. So, cool, guys. There's other things you could do too, by the way. So you have a lot of these Photoshop effects if you wanted to talk about textures. So they are in here, and we could, play with those. So for this, I can add a gradient to it. And this is the last thing I'm going to do. I got to get going, guys. I gots to get going. Let's flip it. Something really soft right here. Since you asked. Last thing, effect. Let's do film grain, for instance. I don't know if it's going to let me actually do a monochromatic film grain, but that's what's currently being added right now. So let's crank this up. Yeah, on white, this gets to be a little tricky, but there's a little bit of film grain right in there. So there's your texture. And then I would change that fill to overlay. Or something else. Oh, that's why it's being added afterward. Bop. Overlay. There we go. So that's one way to add texture. Okay, you guys got it. That's it for me. I'm going to post these principles of design because I threw this together for you guys. Hopefully that would be valuable to you, because I wanted to tackle creating a logo from the principles of design and not just selecting a font. That was my goal. It's like I want you guys to all have knowledge of why you do what you do naturally. And you all do. You all have this natural intuition. So you guys are all like on top of all this stuff, but when you go to a client, you go like, hey, this is one element of design that I've used. I'm kind of, this is based on the principles of design. So notice how this has balance. So these are all the fancy words that you can clearly communicate why you guys all do what you do naturally. So thanks so much, Paul, Garth, Jess, Jairo, Khalid, and everyone, David and Michelle and everyone. So thanks so much, guys. I'm going to get going. I got the Spartan race this weekend. Wish me luck. 10 miles, 30 obstacles. Super excited. You guys have a fantastic day, and thank you. I will post a link to this document. Oh, you're the man. Thank you, Tim. You are a lifesaver. Oh, you're the man. All right, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Yeah, and follow me on social media. Paul Trani. That's who I am. And we'll talk later. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time. See you Monday, actually. Sweet.